بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. The giants. Tonight, inshallah, with a rich story of one of the giants of Islam, Saeed ibn Zaid. Saeed ibn Zaid. The story begins with his father. His father was Zaid ibn Amr ibn Nufayl. Zaid ibn Amr ibn Nufayl. Before the coming of the Prophet ﷺ, things were so bad, corruption was there in all aspects of life. Majority of the society, everybody is just following whatever is going on. With some exceptions, a few people here and there, they refused that. They knew this is wrong. But they couldn't find any clue which religion to follow, which way to go. And the people who lived back then, especially in Mecca, away from civilization, away from big cities, they didn't have much connection to the outside world. So it's pretty much what you have around you in your city. That was what you know. You go by your culture, your family. So those exception of people who knew that there is truth somewhere and they were searching for it, they went every possible way trying to find it. One of them was the father of Saeed. His name is Zaid ibn Amr ibn Nufayl. One day, for example, usually you get to the people who have the same interests like you. You hang out with them. So he met with Ra'fet ibn Nawfal. We're talking about Zaid, the father of the person we're talking about today, the father of Saeed, Zaid ibn Amr ibn Nufayl. He got to meet Ra'fet ibn Nawfal. And two more people, Uthman ibn al-Haris and someone else. And one woman, Umayma bint Abd al-Muttalib, the aunt of the Prophet ﷺ. Men and women, they met together. They said, you know, your people are not, laysu ala shay. This is not the right way they are following. And we know that they changed a lot the way of Ibrahim. They say they follow the way of Ibrahim alayhi salam, but we know, four of us, they were like five of us, we know they are wrong. So they said, well, we don't have any clue where to go or what to do, so everybody searched for the truth himself. Ra'fet ibn Nawfal decided to adopt Christianity, and he became a Christian, and he studied it so much. Uthman, the two more men, they couldn't find anything. They didn't have any way to go. Zaid ibn Amr ibn Nufayl, he decided to search for the truth no matter how much effort it will take him. He went everywhere. He ended up in Sham, one of the centers of the world at this time, a big civilization, predominantly Christians, and he got to meet with Jews and Christians, and he said that I did not find what I'm looking for in all of these religions and asking all of these people. But there was like a conversation between him and one of the patriarchs, or one of the leaders of Christianity there in Syria, and he said, well, that's what I'm looking for, and could you help me? You are a man of God somehow, and I'm looking for truth. He said, where are you from? I said, I'm from Mecca. He said, well, you better go back to your city, because our books is telling us that the truth that you're looking for is going to come through a man who will come from your city, in your city, who will appear in your city. We are told this in the Quran. We know it's there in the Bible, the Nubu'ah of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It's there. So he told him, go back, and what you're looking for is going to come from your city. And he was coming back so fast to look for that, or to wait for that. But in his way back, we know that back then, routes was not as safe as it should be. So he ended up being robbed and being killed in the way before reaching Mecca. As he was dying, he said, oh Allah, if you deprive me of this, what I'm looking for, the truth, oh Allah, please do not deprive my son, Saeed, from reaching this truth. So this is the environment that Saeed ibn Zayd ibn Amr ibn Nufayl, this is the environment, this is the small family that he grew up in. He grew up in a family where his father rejected, and the entire family rejected the trash that's coming to them from the society around them. So he grew up, and subhanallah, yani short time after the coming of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Saeed, the minute he knew about Islam, he was from the very first people to accept Islam, Saeed ibn Zaid. He was so young at this time, and all of his life, you know, he didn't have anything wrong in his life, almost nothing wrong. He didn't worship idols like others. This is how he grew up. And he accepted Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam at a very early age. And he did so many things. Like he was working so strongly for Islam with a lot of zeal. Not only him and his wife. Anybody knows who was his wife? Fatima bint al-Khattab, the sister of Umar ibn al-Khattab. And they got a lot of persecution from the people around them. And Umar radiallahu anhu, we know this story, it's a long story. He came to know, one day he was trying to kill the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was in his way going to kill him. And somebody told him, go and check in your sister and your backyard first, your family. Because they accepted this religion that you're going to kill the head of it. So he went, we know the story. It was his sister, Fatima bint Khattab, and her husband, Saeed ibn Zaid. They knew Quran, they were studying Quran. Subhanallah, one of the, try to imagine Umar ibn al-Khattab, one of the biggest giants of Islam will come fi sahifatim, in the record of deeds, good deeds, because he accepted Islam like mainly through them. Guidance is from Allah, but they were, his sister and her husband were the first people to recite Surah Taha to him, recite some of the Quran to Umar ibn al-Khattab, and that opens his heart, and he decided to go to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam right after that and accept Islam. That's Saeed ibn Zaid. And he attended all the battles with the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam from Badr and up. And even after the death of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was still he was still young. He participated in all the big wars with or liberation, Fath al-Urush Kisra wa Qaysar, the two biggest empires at this time. He was part of that. And it's even said that he was the first person, like especially in Ma'arakat al-Yarmouk, the battle of al-Yarmouk, the enemy was so big, they were around almost 200, I guess, 200,000 warriors, the enemies, and Muslims were just like 24,000. And the enemy were led by their priests, and they were reciting their prayers, and the entire army is saying after them, and Muslims felt kind of, like they fear what's going on. And Saeed ibn Zayd, he was in the first line, he was the first to start the battle, one of the very first people to start, and he managed to overcome the one next to him, and that gave Muslims, urge Muslims to move forward, and we can do it. He lived long life, and he was a very righteous person, and he was known for dua al-maqbool or al-mustajab. If he made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he was so pure that Allah would accept his dua. He was appointed by Umar radiallahu anhu to be the first wali of Dimashq. So the first Muslim ruler of Damascus was Saeed ibn Zayd. And he lived there for so long. He lived until the Yam Bani Umayyah, in the Umayyad dynasty. He was accused, his neighbor accused him of stealing or taking part of her land. And she talked to Marwan ibn al-Hakam, or sent somebody to Marwan, the Hakim al-Madinah. And when Marwan summoned him, called him, he said, "You did that." He said, "By Allah, I never did anything like that. And how could I do that?" When I heard that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man zalama qayda shibrin," whoever, wronged others by stealing or by taking their land, even if it's as little as a span, hand span or something, he will be punished so severely in the hellfire. I didn't do that. And he said, "This lady, Allah knows that she is making dhulm or oppression against me, she is wrong, and I will make dua against her." He said, "Oh Allah, make my case clear to all Muslims." She started talking because he was a ruler at a certain point, and he was known as, usually good people are like, it's easy to hurt them if you talk about their reputation and so on. And she started talking to the entire community, and he said, "Oh Allah, I count on you, make it clear, make my case clear, appear to people. And oh Allah, take the eyesight of this lady and let her die in her land. This land that she is accusing me of, let her die in there." Soon after that, a big flood came, and it crushes everything in the way, and certain area of the surface of land went with the flood. So the الحد الذي كان يفصل الأراضي وكذا, they used to have this kind of like stakes or something to show this area from that area. It was like clear, because after the flood is gone, it becomes clear which is which and whose property is which. So it was clear that everybody knew that she was claiming something wrong against him. And this lady, soon after that, she lost her eyesight. And one day, as she was walking in her land, she fell in one of the wells of water. And that was, subhanAllah, clear that Allah responded to his dua against that. And Allah Azza wa Jalla always responds to da'wat al-mazlum. One thing that before we close is, we forgot to mention that there's one thing that's very important about Saeed ibn Zaid ibn Amr ibn Nufayl. He is one of one of the 10 people that have been given the glad tidings of being from the people of heaven by the Prophet ﷺ. Very famous amongst Muslims. Maybe not many people. Many of us know about Abu Bakr and Umar and all of these people in the list, in the top of the list, but not as many people know about Saeed ibn Zayd, even though he is أحد العشرة المبشرين بالجنة, one of the 10 people given the glad tidings of Al-Jannah. رحمه الله على سعيد بن زيد, ونسأل الله جل أن يلحقنا بهم وأن يحيينا على خطاهم. May Allah make us live a good, righteous life following their footsteps. آمين. جزاكم الله خير وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.